Okay. Courtney, did you go?
I didn't. My name is Courtney, and I live in Carnegie Square on Library Lane.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah. Um, so I figure we probably have people coming in by now. So our agenda for today is the current plan is just to spend the first 15 minutes. You can see a little timer here, but the current slot of time is to introductions, and I'm hoping we can sort of go around and just see what's top of people's mind on what's in the last couple of days. What about the community has come to mind that you wanted to sort of just mention? After that, we're going to have, I hope, a please an update from Captain Tibaldi. That'll be is I hope 25 minutes is fine. Let me know if that's not good. After that, Gregory will talk about from the fire department. Will talk, and then I'm hoping we can get updates from the community center and more tours and mayor if those folks show up. And at the end, we'll talk a little bit about what to do for future meetings. So with that, for a couple of minutes, just anyone aside from pile drivers and fireworks, has anything been in people's minds lately relating to the community?
I'll go first. This is Dee Bergen. I noticed yesterday that the food vendors near 21st, North 21st Street, the Colombians, I didn't see them. It was pretty clean.
Hmm.
That's it.
That's probably because they're all celebrating Colombia's victory in soccer, and they've been over by Cesar Chavez Park.
Ah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, last night they set up food, music, and they were all out around Cesar Chavez celebrating the victory.
Okay.
Thank you, Gina.
It's not quite directly in Roosevelt Park, but I noted driving home, was it last week? I think it was that there were, I think 2 days during the week, there were like fires along one of the highways, big plumes of smoke going up just north of Roosevelt Park.
Could that possibly have been one of the arson fires that was set by the guy that they busted?
Oh, was it? There was one which was definitely just roadside. I don't not know if it was an arson fire, but it was quite dramatic.
Yeah, the last I read, he was being linked to 9 different arson fires. I don't know where that stands now, but it could be, and it could also just be the typical fire. Yeah, fires along, somebody tossing a cigarette or whatever. I don't know.
Hmm.
I'll go. I want to talk about fireworks, and this is going to sound crazy for me because I've been, on the been fighting this for years and years and years. But this year, at least in my immediate area, 24th and East San Fernando, the basic area here, has been so far the absolute quietest that I've ever witnessed in the 20 plus years I've been here. I've seen no aerial explosion, and I see here onesie twosies, during the night, whereas it used to be just a nonstop barrage for about the last 3 weeks of June all the way through July and into the 4th. So again, and I've been working with the illegal fireworks group, and apparently there is a crackdown on this. There's 7 major fireworks retailers in Nevada that supply about 85-90% of the stuff into California. The different agencies of the federal government have been involved, et cetera, et cetera. So it may be restricting the supply. Now, I almost hate to say that because it's like jinxing it. And maybe the supply is more limited and they're saving it up for one big blowout on the 4th of July. I don't know. But at least up until this point in my area, in the area that I live in, it's been remarkably quiet.
I've heard some, this is Dee. I've heard some come from what sounds like South 26th Street, San Antonio, maybe closer to Bonita. They're big explosions.
Yeah. I'm not saying I have heard them, but what I used to do every year I would have a little notebook and I would write down all during the night the time and the approximate direction where I thought they were coming from. And then I'd go to my security cameras the next morning and try to pull all the video because you'd see all the stuff going off. This year I started and I just stopped after because it's just like one or two or three a night that I hear that even get my attention. So again, knock on wood, hopefully combination of things, supply being reduced or people finally getting smart, I doubt it, or the threat of fines and anyway, so we'll see.
Actually, I agree with Jeff. We were talking about it just yesterday, as a matter of fact. Usually the stuff starts Memorial Day on, after Memorial Day, and it's usually a constant daily thing. But this year, you're right, it's considerably less. I mean, there was a barrage over here on Saturday night, but that was because of the IES Hall celebration. And no matter how much you tell them don't do it, they still do it. But other than that, it's been fairly mild, and I think we'll see some big stuff on Thursday.
Oh, I'm sure we will. I'm sure we will.
And that's normal, but the lead up has been quieter. Couple other things. Monarch Trucking, they're gone. The property has been turned over to the contractor, the VTA contractor, and from the minute Monarch left, there have been incursions onto the property, break-ins. They've jumped, tossed off the old offices and stuff. They got 24/7 security out there now. Two guys who sit in their car, basically, two private security guys. And that's still, anyway, there's dumping going on and whatnot. And this morning, I noticed the gate to the former railroad right-of-way on North 28th, the VTA property across from Monarch Trucking. Somebody broke open the gate. It looked like somebody was trying to set up an encampment, and I called VTA, my contact, and they'll take care of it. Last week, this isn't in our area, but just over the bridge, someone actually a very mentally disturbed person broke a window in one of our properties. And I just happened to run into her. She was coming over the bridge, and I followed her and called PD while I was following her, and had her arrested. She's very disturbed. She's actually dangerous to herself and others. She maltreats people when they go to the 7-Eleven at 34th Street. I assume she'll be back because habits, Captain Tibaldi would probably agree that they tend to cycle back to where they're most comfortable. But it's going on 2 weeks now, and she hasn't made her way back. Hopefully she's getting the help she needs and she's off the street. But yeah, that's just a few things that have been going on in the immediate area.
Okay. Captain Tibaldi, would you like to have the floor?
You got to unmute.
You are muted.
Thank you. Sorry, my cat won't leave me alone, so you might see a tail flailing around.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, Jeff, just so you know, the stats are incorrect all around. Our Crime View dashboard's not even available to us anymore. So the stats I have, I don't even know, quite honestly, how accurate they are. I have P1s through 4s that I pulled, and 5s and 6s, which is self-initiated activity versus calls for service. The numbers comparatively, to what they usually are, look correct, but I don't know about crimes in the neighborhood. So as far as P1s through 4s, which are calls for service, there were 155. And then as far as 5s and 6s, which is self-initiated activity, there were 63 events. So officers are out there making stops, And then when I was pulling the stats, it said there were 0 ag assaults, 0 burglaries, 1 robbery, and 20 disturbances. That seemed kind of low for me as far as like the part 1 type crimes. But you know, so I don't know if the stats are accurate or not on that because Crime View is not available to me. Other than that, we are pretty much just preparing for 4th of July. For the 4th, our department was planning on having officers on overtime deal with enforcement, but thus far, no one wants to sign up for the spots. So we're kind of begging people to sign up at this point. I don't know. So what we're really encouraging people to do is go to 311, upload the photographs of violators, and then code enforcement is supposed to go after the fact and cite people. So we spent the morning up in Alviso today, kind of talking about fireworks, going door to door, passing out flyers, letting community members know where the major fireworks shows are so that they can go to the safe fireworks shows versus lighting off fireworks. There are no plans to do the flyering in any other neighborhoods, you know, by the 4th. It's probably not going to happen, but hopefully we'll have some officers who volunteer to work the overtime or work the pay jobs. And that's pretty much where we stand as far as 4th of July. We don't have great numbers out on the street. It's just kind of bare minimum. We're going to have about 5 for the district. So the fireworks calls we probably won't be going to. We're going to be dealing with the priority 1s and 2s that night. 4th of July is always super chaotic. So just know if it's a lower level crime, a 3 or 4, we probably won't be out, you know, very quickly. And, you know, you might be waiting, let's say a vandalism or something. You might be waiting till the next day when kind of the dust settles and we have CSOs available again because they're off on 4th of July to come out and take the report. So we're going to do the best we can with the resources we have. The other thing we're just kind of working on tonight, Colombia is obviously playing Brazil. So lots of fans. We're just kind of waiting to see what that brings in the aftermath after the game. So that's kind of short term where we are.
And I wanted to tell you, I reached out to Captain Trayer, and he's got his team working on the stat issue. And he asked me, how quickly do you need this? I said, 2 or 3 weeks. I mean, this is not, you know, earth shattering that I'm able to put out the report. But if you're being if PD is being impacted, that's pretty bad. So
yeah, I'm actually not going to be able to pull stats until the city can figure out either a new system to allow me access to stats. Otherwise, I'm going to have to run everything through crime analysis. So my goal is to sit down and kind of go through the community meetings. Obviously, I know we have a standing meeting every month, so I can let them know kind of when I'm going to need the stats for this meeting, but I'm going to be relying on an analyst to pull the stats. So there's going to be no lifetime data from me unless it gets run through crime analysis and is deemed official data. Hopefully they fix that sooner than later because it's very important for me to be able to watch crime trends and look at heat maps and determine when and where the crimes are occurring so I can encourage the proactive police work on those days and times. So hopefully they get something going.
Do you know what's the underlying problem is?
The system we use apparently doesn't meet some safety specification that the city is now requiring as of July 1st, something to do with our systems development and ITD. So they're kind of working through that right now.
Okay, so it's less that there's some bug which hasn't cropped up and more that there's a regulation which needs to get, which is impacting how you can use the tool.
Correct.
Which,
Interesting.
coming from a tech background, they knew this was coming and they just didn't plan for it.
Okay.
That kind of sounds like the bureaucracy.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So just as a side note, I think I've told you before that about 4 or 5 years ago, I started pulling directly from the police calls for service that the police department publishes. And I was building a database and doing queries and setting it up for specific areas. And I started doing it in the absence of having good data on the crime mapping. I've started doing that again to try to look up specific cases. So I don't have anything yet to send out to the group, but that's where I'm headed with that.
Okay, and I know that if strings or things start popping up in the neighborhood, Jeff, you always, kind of draw my attention to certain things because you talk to all the neighbors but so I anticipate I'll hear from you, and then based upon that we can work around. And then I'm just going to have crime analysis pull the data. It might be slightly delayed, but we will react to the data. And I do check the daily logs, the watch commander logs, the BFO info reports, and anything pertaining to our division. I kind of watch and monitor, and then go talk to the investigative units and follow up with them. So, we'll still be doing it, but it will be, kind of how we were doing it pre-technology. So.
Oh my God, free technology.
Can I also ask you, you mentioned ones and twos and threes and fours, and I have the, high level sense I understand what that is, but what can you explain more what those are in more detail?
Absolutely. So priority one is there's a immediate threat to life or danger to life and property. So that is your in progress robbery, your aggravated assault, your homicide, your attempted homicide, shooting, stabbing, etc. Priority two, the little bit lower level, it might be like a welfare check. Someone screaming in the middle of the street, someone who falls and collapses, maybe due to intoxication. That's like a priority two. Threes and fours are going to be like your cold burglary, where I showed up at my business, it's been burglarized, I don't think anyone's at the business. Suspects are not in the immediate area. So, and some of the disturbances, maybe like a neighbor quarrel where you hear screaming, might be like a 3 or 4. So that's how it works. Priority ones, the city's goal is to respond to them in about 6.5 minutes. When we look at data for Central Division, we're looking at about 8 minutes. The problem with this data is if a call comes out as a priority one, someone says, oh, my neighbor got shot. And then it later gets dropped down. Oh, my neighbor wasn't shot. They just collapsed in the middle of the street and fell down, maybe because of intoxication, a lower level crime. It comes out as a priority one. So when they categorize the response time and do the overall averages, even if it gets dropped to a 2, 3, or 4, they're still, for some reason, calculating, the database calculates it as a priority one. And so it's lowering our priority one response times. So it's showing we're getting to priority ones in like 8 or 9 minutes. I don't think that is the case, because I have to research them every week. And when I research them, I see a lot of the calls that are increasing our response times are in fact like dropped to 3s or 4s. So I think we're doing better than that 8-minute time frame. If we can figure out a system to eliminate those calls that get dropped down to a lower priority, I think we'll be on par with the 6.5-minute mark. Priority twos, the city's goal is about 21 minutes. It actually might be lower than that now, but our time is about 28 minutes. So not great, but at any point, if a priority two, gets updated by an additional caller and it moves to a priority one, then it turns it up to a priority one in the system. And that's when the officers start getting priority dispatched from all over the city, which is basically GPS based in the closest unit response. 3s and 4s, the times, I don't even have them. They're extended. Like I said, it's like that cold burglary or something to the effect, like a vandalism that happened the night before. We don't know when it happened. We will hold those calls for CSOs because generally it's just like a paper only call. So those have extended response times. So we don't even have thresholds for those, but we are working to recategorize our priority one calls, and we're kind of doing an in-depth analysis. Every captain every week has to analyze the calls that don't meet the threshold, and we have to go through them. And I find that in Central Division, the other thing that's really affecting us is District Robert is part of Central Division. And when they calculate the average for Central Division, it's all 4 districts. Robert goes all the way from just north of the police department to Alviso. I drove up to Alviso today and it took me during daytime about 20 minutes. So that kind of extends or increases call time averages for the district as well. Sorry, that was a lot of talking for a simple
No,
question.
I think that's great. I assume things like people calling about like a loud party, that sounds like that's probably a priority 3 kind of thing. Oh, 4. Okay.
That is a 4, and for like a loud party disturbance, unless someone's willing to be a victim, PD doesn't even respond out. If
Yeah.
they say, I want to be anonymous, and we don't have someone who's a victim of 415 PC, we won't even respond.
Gotcha. Okay. Interesting. Thank you for that explanation. I appreciate it.
You are welcome. Any other questions?
I was going to ask about any of the specific, it's okay. The specific cases that have happened in the area, you handled those, so that's okay. I assume like the arsonist, I presume he's still locked up and.
You know, I don't know. You never know. I haven't followed up on custody status. I looked into this morning a burglar who was burning buildings and then breaking the windows downtown, and he was still locked up. So it's kind of hit or miss. And then today, someone who shot at our officers or was involved in an OIS in March is now out. So you never know with the judges in the criminal justice system what they're going to do.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions from anyone? If not, then we can thank you very much, Captain. I guess we can then move on to Gregory.
Good evening, everyone. Greg is fine.
Okay.
Yeah, all my official things when I got hired was Gregory. I fill out your
Yeah.
full name and that. Yeah, Gregory John. So that's how it ended up being on all my titles and everything. But yeah, Greg is fine with everybody. So thanks for having me on tonight. And I'm here basically just to get our word out and our public information out regarding fireworks and the illegal use of fireworks. And to kind of just educate people on some of the dangers of illegal fireworks. In the past year alone, 9,700 people were treated in emergency rooms for fireworks, and most injuries were caused by firecrackers and sparklers. 42% of the injuries were burned. 66% of all fireworks injuries throughout the year happened on July 4th. So this is a big deal for us to try and curb people away from using illegal fireworks. I know, having been a firefighter now, this is my 28th year, I've seen just the explosion since COVID and the pandemic of what this has done in our neighborhoods. I spent a majority of my time working at the station on King and Cunningham. So I've seen how the east side and downtown has been affected. But what we're trying to do is just change the culture, change the narrative. I was just asking my coworkers, why is it that San Jose has this issue when our surrounding neighbors don't seem to have the same amount or the problem that we do? And I think it's just because it's become tradition here, especially in these areas, your neighborhood, East Side San Jose, and especially Alviso, that this is what we do. I know a coworker of Gina, or Captain Tibaldi, as I've worked with him closely. He went out to Alviso with his team, and at 2 p.m. hoping that they were going to make a difference. By the time he got there, the place was already full of people. They weren't going to stop anyone. So this has just become a tradition in our neighborhoods that we got to try and offset. What we've done for the first time in that it's ever is in East San Jose, there's going to be a fireworks show that's going to be free to the public at Lake Cunningham Park. That starts at 9:30. So if we can get that out through messaging from your association and just friends and family that you know. There's also the one at, that's been there for years at Almaden Lake, if you want to venture down there and deal with the traffic. And there's also a paid show. I know we're not really pushing that one, but there's also going to be a paid show at the Giant Stadium. But there's avenues that you can go to see fireworks shows professionally done and try and keep people safe. So hopefully the one on the east side can bring families out to celebrate there and limit the use of fireworks on the east side. The problem with the east side for us is the foothills are right now with the weather and the fire danger, the heat could cause a huge problem. So it's up to neighbors and people like yourselves just to try and stop this. And when I say stop this, don't go out there and try and confiscate fireworks from people. The city has what's called the 311 reporting tool. If you're not familiar with it, it's an app you can get, and you can also call just 311 or 311 San Jose CA.gov. There's also 408-535-5600 is a number you can reach to report non-emergencies and fireworks related calls. One of the things I've heard about this reporting tool is that it doesn't work. What we're trying to message out this year is it doesn't work because people, like Captain Tabali said, we need an actionable report. Someone willing to basically give their name and then either take a picture, tell us, and give us an address, some sort of identifying feature where we can follow up and find these people, because now the city is fining first violators $1,000, second violation $2,000, third violation $3,000, and if you are caught selling fireworks, it's a $50,000 fine with jail time. There's also now and this is going to change, but this year there is what's called a social host ordinance, meaning that if there's fireworks being shot off at your property, you're subject to fine. You're subject to these things. There's also fines for spectators. It starts at only $25 because they didn't know how to classify it. We're working to change that next year, but it's a step in the right direction to try and deter people from using illegal fireworks. Other than that, let's see. Some other statistics I didn't get to. Last year alone, we in this 1 week period for the San Jose Fire Department, we had 86 fireworks related calls that can be attributed to fireworks. 42 of them were fires, structure fires, 36 smoke and noise complaints, and then 8 medical calls. So some of those injuries I had talked about early. Out of the 1,000 total reports, 1,014 total reports that were submitted to the 311 system, they only resulted in 121 warnings and 0 citations, but 893 of those were used for our what we call the hotspot mapping, similar to what Captain Bali was talking about when it comes to crime. The following day, I'll have statistics and hotspots of where these calls came in as we collaborate with code enforcement, who does the enforcement and the citation process for this, the code enforcement department. But what I wanted to say is that our arson unit was successful in recovering 38,000 pounds of illegal fireworks last year that were turned in or confiscated. And we made 11 arrests and 30 criminal citations with the help of San Jose Police Department. So hopefully those numbers improve. And I skipped over really fast, but when it came to the 311 reporting system, those were, again, just because we are not getting enough information from these reports. So when you tell people to use this system, get us a picture, give us your name. But then, some people are not willing to do that. Anonymous reports only go down as a hotspot map. But if we can get a name from you and some sort of actionable item, we can go to this person, cite them, find them, and hopefully deter them from using any fireworks in the future. I think that's it. What I have to say when it regards to fireworks. Is there any question for me? Oh, what I wanted to start off my presentation when I just got going was why are fireworks illegal? And fireworks are illegal in San Jose and most Santa Clara County, including the Safe and Sane ones. So if you venture over to Fremont and grab a box of Safe and Sane, you cannot use them here. The only reason they're called Safe and Sane is they don't explode, but that's still, they do emit embers and could cause fires. Their unpermitted fireworks are illegal to use, store, and sell and watch. So they cause personal injury. And one big thing I wanted to say was that if you have pets, please be thoughtful and think about them, because the pets are frightened, and we lose more pets on July 4th than at any point of the year. And as Captain Tabaldi also said, it puts a strain on our resources for real emergencies. In 2021, that was a crazy time. It was the end of the pandemic, or we thought, and people were came out, we could not keep up with the call volume. We had companies coming from Santa Clara, Milpitas, all County Fire, Saratoga, Sunnyvale. They were running calls in San Jose because we couldn't handle the call volume that year when it came to fireworks. It happens every now and then, and it's usually on July 4th. So putting the strain on our resources is not something we want to do, especially at this time of the year, this weather, the dry grass. We don't want to see a big fire running up the east side foothills. Is there any questions for me?
I have a question. I certainly don't expect San Jose Fire to do any kind of law enforcement, but will you have the same patrol where in past years the fire trucks would be out not on patrol but basically out on the road so that they could respond quickly?
Yes.
Are is that the plan?
So what typically happens this night is they are out on and about and are seen because they're responding to calls anyway. What we used to do was tell people to just be visible, but come 6 o'clock, they're running calls and they're not in the station anyway. So that's the visibility. We became better at this where we would physically try and confiscate fireworks, realizing that got us in trouble. We don't do that no more. So if people turn them in, we do accept them. So if you're able to convince anyone that these shouldn't be used, we don't want these in our neighborhood, or if someone turns them into you, please bring them by a fire station and we'll accept them and turn them into PD. And if you find a large amount of fireworks, you would need to get PD involved because anything over 25 pounds would need to be confiscated by the bomb squad. That's how serious this is. But yes, we're out just to be a visible presence, but we're not going to physically take things away from people.
Thank you.
You said something I wanted to just go back and pick up again. I think you said that more pets are killed every year
No,
due to
not killed,
fireworks. No,
lost.
every lost. Okay,
Yes.
okay. What does lost mean in this case?
Just
Just that
run
they get
away.
scared and run away?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I don't have
Okay.
an actual number for that other than just a bullet point that when pets run away, it's on July 4th.
Yeah, next door, all the social apps are just that's all you see are lost pets. Also, just to pitch it in, because I've been fighting with this for years, the illegal fireworks. Wildlife is severely impacted. It upsets wild birds. Their navigation systems get screwed up from the explosions, and they'll, get lost. So the impact isn't just, oh, I lost my dog or my dog is hiding in the closet. It's everything around you. So, I know we're probably preaching to the choir here. So,
Yeah, it's an uphill battle, but I think we're starting to make a dent in it just as far as the education and getting people to stop. I know this meeting started with people talking about it, and I noticed it too. There's less of the loud booms. I can't quantify that. I know we're still running calls to minor firework related fires. But it's not like it was just 2 or 3 years ago.
You know what's amazing to me, because I've been involved with it's a group fighting illegal fireworks for about 10, 15 years here. And it was only about 5 or 6 years ago that I knew about the fireworks shows in Alviso. Everybody talked about them, and everybody assumed, oh, they were so big and so formal that, oh, these are sanctioned, city
Yes.
events, and they absolutely were not. And it just blew my mind when I found out. I forget which captain it was one year when it had like, I don't know, 15, 20 officers out there. And it was just so many, they couldn't do anything. You can't arrest, 10,000 people. So it was astonishing. And the people putting on the shows, they were sort of public figures, and everybody for years and years and years assumed that, oh, this is like Lake Almaden or Lake County or Discovery Meadow, which is not having a show this year. But it's not. It was totally illegal.
No, there were flyers, social media posts about the Alviso show for sure.
Yeah.
And now that it was, Rick Galea was the PD sergeant who I was talking about. He just was out there just kind of overwhelmed. Like, what do we do with his crew?
It's actually very bad out there. I'll just say We're outnumbered. They tend to, if we
Yeah.
go up there and try to enforce, surround us. So not a lot gets done up there. It's officers seeking cover, and we'll go up there and kind of go in if fire needs us for any reason. That's previously why we've gone in there, because they've even surrounded fire and made it difficult for fire to respond.
But you know, when I hear all about fireworks, and San Jose has had laws in place and for, God, I don't know, probably going back 20 years. And I remember I went to a District 5 meeting. This is about, probably about 10 years ago, and it's still on the internet. And somebody asked the captain, I said, you know, since you had all these things on the book, how many citations have the city handed out? And his number was 0. 0 citations, even though they've had the laws in the book for years. I used to live out by Cunningham Park. Fireworks all over the place. I called in, I had an officer come by, and he happened to see a kid throwing fireworks in the middle of the street. He stopped, got out of his car, took about 15 seconds, got back in his car, drove off. Didn't talk to the parents, didn't confiscate anything. As soon as he went around the corner, the kid is back to throwing fireworks. I just hear that so far there's been no fines. To me, that's where the frustration is. As long as we've got all these laws in the book, and I keep hearing 0 fines, 0 fines. So, you know, I understand that we need somebody to step forward and say something and be able to, you know, put his name out there. But I know that, you know, it's seen. I know the police see it. I know the fire department see it. And like I said, it just put in the back burner and say, yeah, we do it. Yeah, we take it serious. But
Hey, Carlos, I completely agree with you. And that's why I always bring this up months in advance. And I've said this before, so if you've heard it, I apologize. But I've said you could have 10,000 National Guard troops on every corner in San Jose on July 4th, and it wouldn't make a dent. Where we have to get serious about is going after the supply months before the actual day, whether it's the Super Bowl or 4th of July, because on the 4th of July, it's too little and too late. You're absolutely right. And I actually don't fault the cops. I've talked personally with police officers in the years past who would tell me that if they saw if fireworks going up, they would actually hide, you know, they would find a underpass or something to stay away from it. It's too dangerous. And I understand that. You got, you know, a wild crowd, you know, 50, 60 people shooting off this stuff. Some of them are probably packing guns. They're probably high as a kite. And you want an officer or two to walk in it? Absolutely not. So we're having this discussion today, 2 days before 4th of July, and I'm glad we are. And I hope we all stay vigilant and protect our neighborhood and everything. But this is the wrong time to have this discussion. The time to really address it is February, March, you know, to get the investigative, whether it's partnering with the state, the county, and allied municipalities to go after the supply, like they did, where they made that major bust last year, 39,000 pounds or whatever it was. You know, a couple of good busts like that will really dent the supply and will send the message that if you want to do it here in San Jose or Santa Clara County, you're looking for trouble. That's basically it. So, Carlos, I share what you say and your concern 100%. But we need to start much earlier in the year to go after the problem, to prevent it from ever being a problem.
Well, I totally agree with you, Jeff, and I'm not blaming the police department. I blame the city of San Jose, because once it gets out of the police's hand, then it goes to the district attorney and all that, and stuff gets thrown out the door. I had one dispatcher tell me, well, don't you know that it's Chinese New Year? I told him, yeah, I didn't know it was legal during Chinese New Year. See, so somehow the city, and I don't blame the police, I don't blame the fire department, I believe the city itself or elected officials need to take a strong hand. They need to get serious about it, not just say, well, yeah, I support it, but then they basically whitewash it and goes away. And the district attorney, you know, all I'm saying is that, you know what, during the year you have Cinco de Mayo, you got 4th of July, you got New Year's, you got Chinese. You know what? If you were to issue 5, 6 citations with fines, the word would get out to these people. But if nothing ever happens and all you hear is, well, it's a warning, it's a warning. Well, you can warn people for the rest of their lives and it's not going to change anything.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
I believe that there's a lot of concerns that we don't even see. And I think those come from the labor unions that are restricting fire and PD to actually go out into the neighborhoods during these fire shows, because they don't want the fireworks to be aimed at the units, whether it's fire or police. So the labor's kind of put the skids, when the council members are asking, hey, these are the hot spots kind of deal, when the requests are coming from the city, you got to push back. You got big pushbacks. And that's what us as residents, if you have an untrained eye, you're not going to see that.
In response to that, I'll just say this, because I have never been told by the union not to enforce fireworks.
Right.
We go out and about. Like I said, in 2009, I worked in Alviso, and it was so bad with the fireworks. Like Jeff said, we did actually have to seek cover because, they were just everywhere and we were completely outnumbered. On 4th of July, District King will have probably 4 or 5 officers covering the entire area. And that means essentially 2 calls for service, and we're kind of knocked out. Maybe 3 calls for service if we, borrow an officer from District Edward. So if we have to choose between responding to major emergencies, priority 1s or 2s, or doing the fireworks enforcement, we obviously have to go with the threat to life. If we can get officers to actually work overtime and come in on 4th of July, then they can put together the teams to go out and site. So we're really hoping that 311 app works this year, where people do take the photos and do send them in, and hopefully code enforcement or the appropriate units will start issuing those citations. Because if the citation's $1,000, $2,000, maybe it will start to make a dent. And then our individual up in Alviso who, was arrested for all the fireworks last year, he's out on the street, and he was actually posting on one of the council members' Instagram or Facebook page today. I got a screenshot of it, basically saying like, the fireworks are going to go on. Everyone's going to be doing it. So there have to be some kind of consequences when the police department arrests someone with, thousands of pounds of fireworks. So something like that would send a message, I think. And so hopefully, the powers, that will be, we'll make sure there are some consequences when we do cite people or arrest people for.
I know we've had a hotspot here right between Bonita Avenue and East San Antonio. It's been there for at least a decade, and that one is gang, it's gang infused, where you got fire reload. There's this like Suburban that comes, gangsters come out, they supply the people on the hotspot, and then they go on for another 6 hours. And that's what worries me, because that's, the gang enhancement of that fireworks show is dangerous. So for years, like Jeff and I and David, we've tried to do other solutions, have a 4th of July, hot dog party at the corner of 28th and San Antonio, just to see if that would kind of curb it. No, it didn't. We did it on 30th Street. No, it didn't. So I just sat down and watched. I spectated, and I was just observing what it was. And I learned a whole lot more doing that than, trying to call 311 because I couldn't get through.
Well, fortunately now the 311 app, you can, so you don't have to connect on the phone with somebody. But yeah, I understand it's not the 100% solution, but.
And I like to just chime in too. There's like Captain Tabali said, it's not a union that tells us not to respond. It's a safety issue for us out there when there's 4 people on a fire engine and you've got a whole neighborhood with fireworks and you incite them by taking fireworks, it's not we'll be trapped trying to call for PD to get us out of there. So it's a safety issue, and we don't want to put our personnel in harm's way where they can get physically harmed. When it comes to the fireworks themselves, we're trying to do things that make homeowners responsible, people out there that attend or watch these shows responsible. It's an unrelated event, but I just want to say there is a new ordinance this year that it's called the social host ordinance. So if your house is photographed with people shooting off fireworks there, you will receive the fine. Either you as a homeowner, which would then you would remove those people if you're a renter, if you're renting that out, you would pass that on to them or just evict them. But somewhere these fines are finally going to find a place where they will make a difference. There's also fines for spectators. That one right now, I'm not happy with because I don't think the fine is big enough. But as we evolve in that, these fines, and what I was saying, an unrelated event, I know PD there was a sideshow event over at Santana Row where they just were able to bring in, is it 7 arrests now, Captain, when it came to that? So there's cameras everywhere. There's photos that they can find these people and get the fines out to them. So if you were out there in a crowd and your picture's taken in any of those pictures, there's resources to actually get those fines to those people. So don't give up on the system. Please try and use it. Like I said, there's new ordinances now that put the onus on the homeowner or the resident of the house as well as the people watching. So maybe we can make a difference at least in your neighborhood and then the east side, and then move on to Alviso as well.
I heard in all this both some carrots and sticks, which seem like maybe there are things we can broadcast in like the Roosevelt Park, Facebook and Nextdoor sort of groups. You had mentioned, Greg, that there's some legit fireworks shows going on. I think I wrote down East Cunningham Park. Is that right? And
Lake Cunningham
Almaden
Park
Lake,
and
Lake
Almaden
Cunningham
Lake.
Park.
Discovery Meadow is not having a show this year, and there's also at the Giants Stadium, but that's a paid event.
Yeah. Okay.
Just so you know, the Giants event, that's the San Jose Giants, not the
Yes.
San Francisco Giants.
Yes.
It is sold out, but apparently you can still park. But I would advise stay away from it. It's just going to be too congested. There's also, I might throw this out. Maybe it's sacrilege to say this, but the city of Sunnyvale is actually having a drone show, which is what
Yeah.
the illegal fireworks group has been pushing for years to get away from the traditional explosives and use these drone shows, which are mind-boggling. They're unreal. I think if people got hooked on those, once they saw those, they say, what the heck with, shooting something up and having it blow up and then having to clean it up. These drone shows are just out of this world. And I know Cal Expo is doing, I used to live in Sacramento. Cal Expo is in Sacramento, it has the drone show. So anyway, that's not for you. David, I have the handout or the email from the mayor's office. I'll make sure I shoot that out again. But the main thing is there is no show at Discovery Meadow this year. So the word has gotten out about that.
And are we getting broadcast on these social media things also, these new kinds of fines and stuff? Is that getting communicated? I don't feel like I've seen that.
It's hard to ask me the question because I'm so plugged into it and I've been aware of this for a long time. So I don't know if it's widely known out there, but I think it is widely known in the city of San Jose that number one, it's illegal. Number two, it's dangerous as hell. Number three, you can hurt yourself every year in San Jose. And I gather up all this information, the news articles. Sure enough, one or two people will blow off their hand or heaven forbid, kill themselves. And it happens right here, not just nationwide. And what I fear the most is what I tell people. I live along an old area here, and there's street trees across the street from me. And about 10, 12 years ago, somebody just fired off just not a big projectile, just it went up, I don't know, 50 feet, and the burning ember came down in the street trees and just ignited them like an explosion, just boom. Fortunately, I'm real near Engine Company 8, and they were on scene along with PG&E because there's power lines that go within minutes. Otherwise, it would have been just a catastrophe. And that's what scares me the most about these fireworks. Not even the big ones. Greg, you talked about it. Safe and sane is nonsense. You know, a little sparkler or a little thing that used to be called safe and sane. You can burn your house down with one of those. You can start something that they can burn your neighborhood down. And we have such dry grass and so much vegetation this year. That's what scares me the most. And I'll tell you, I'm pissed off too because I'm part of CERT. You all know that, and this is a big time of the year for CERT to go out at Lake Cunningham or Almaden Lake and do public events. And I tell them every year, my CERT colleagues, nope, I'm on fire watch in my house. Well, you could come out during the day. I said, nope, it's 24 hours. I'm here. I'm a prisoner of my house because of all the idiots around me. So,
quick comment on Lake Cunningham. There is no parking inside of the park itself. They suggested that you park over at East Ridge, and they will have shuttle service over to Lake Cunningham. They also mentioned food, but I would eat before you get there because you're not going to get a dinner, you know, snacks or something like that.
Well, I would guess that you could get snacks because of all the Colombian vendors who are going to relocate over to Lake Cunningham Park on the street outside the park.
Well, this actually came from District 8, the representative, and they said, yeah, we will have food, don't worry about it. I wouldn't count on it. I think it's going to be very little food, but they will have shuttle service from East Ridge. They recommended parking at East Ridge, the old Sears building. But there will not be any parking inside the park itself.
I don't think you're allowed to even bring in containers, if I remember correctly from what I read in that same email. In other words, they don't want coolers with beer and alcoholic.
Yeah. I'm sure that's restricted.
Okay. Meanwhile, my little timer is saying, sort of time to move on. Thank you, Greg, for coming and talking to us. Appreciate that, and appreciate both you and the captain's discussion of the issues around this.
And thanks for keeping us safe, especially on crazy holidays like 4th of July.
No, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
How about, do we have any updates in the community center?
Sandra's there.
I'm here.
Hey,
Yes.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
a little warm. It's now 102 in my office right here.
Yes, it's hot. Just quick updates. Well, we have been activated as a cooling center for those of you who don't know. We have started today from 1 to 9, and then it's gonna go all the way till next Tuesday, the 9th. So we'll have the center open from 1 to 9 every single day. And then we offer like water and snacks for the people who come in and stuff like that. Today so far we had a good number. We had 15 attend when I was there throughout the day. So we had a good number. Let me see. Anything other updates? We have our movie nights on Friday, every other Friday. We have our skate nights. The next upcoming event that we have, the big one, will be the National Night Out. So, and I wanted to reach out to either Jeff or
Yes,
or is
David.
it Tom? I'm sorry, David. I was thinking Tom for some reason. And David, to see if you guys wanted to table at the event, but I'll go ahead and send you guys an email for that. Other than that, we know we've been okay, just with the heat and just trying to take it day by day, Yeah.
I'm not familiar with the notion of a cooling center. I assume this is just giving anyone who comes by who wants to get off the street a place to be out from underneath the sun.
Yes, so it's an open space, open for everybody to come in from 1 to 9 and use the pretty much the room as a cooling center and stuff like that. And then we provide the snacks and, we have families come in. It just depends. Mostly it's the, older adults. We have a house come in and stuff like that. So it just depends. The different
We,
demographics.
we picked the wrong night to do a Zoom only meeting. We should have been over at the community center tonight.
Yeah, for sure. We have a rental going on too. So we the Indian Health Center, so we would have heard them like they do the dancing on Tuesdays too. Yeah. So, but yeah. I'm trying to think of anything else
We
for
were
the
talking before the meeting started, we were talking about the National Night Out, what we possibly could do. Is the cutoff, is the date is July 19th that we have to formalize it by then? Just curious if you know.
I don't know. I think
Okay.
there's a cutoff date to register like through the SJPD website. I know they do have a cutoff for that one.
Okay.
But I was just gonna have Elias, which is my staff that's in charge of the event, just go ahead and send emails to see who wants it to come out and table
Okay, good.
for the actual event. We'll have it at the rink again.
Okay, good.
Yeah, Sandra, the cutoff is July 21st, and that's to make sure that the police officers can stop by so they can add it to their route. And you can just do
Okay,
it
sounds
on
good. Yeah, we
JPD
registered
website.
already.
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay.
Thanks.
Okay, anything else?
I don't think
Then,
so.
okay. How about any updates from Omar's office?
Yes, I was trying to remember, did I go over the budget last meeting? Did we touch on that? I was going to talk a little bit about some of our budget allocations for District 3 that we got. I'm not sure if I talked about it last meeting.
I know I've
It
heard
doesn't-
it a number of times, but
Yeah.
but
You've been around. But yeah, I'll talk a little bit about it. So some of the allocations in the Roosevelt area that I can think of that I have here, we are funding marketing for the East Village, which is down East Santa Clara Street, and then LM Rock East Santa Clara Street Business Association. It supports marketing efforts for those associations. And then as well as Downtown Streets team will be servicing the East Santa Clara Street LM Rock Business Corridor, as well as the East Village Business Corridor, which is just down the street, which means that they will be cleaning the area once a week for like 4 hours. They'll be in each corridor a different day of the week. So you guys will start seeing some of the Downtown Streets teams out there. They're still working on like the contract and stuff, but hopefully in the next few months that program will start. And what they'll be able to do is clean up trash, graffiti. I think they mentioned power washing, also outreach to our unhoused. So we're excited for that program to kick off. And it's also going to be in Luna Park Business District and Gaia Willow Business District. So those four areas in District 3 will get serviced by Downtown Streets team. And then some funding for our street vendors so that a nonprofit can go out and talk to them about, programs for food safety, handling practices. It's called Prosperity Lab. Basically they go out and, give outreach, they let them know of their program, and what they do is they have like classes and programs that they have to accomplish to receive and help them receive their permits and stuff, because many of these vendors are, coming here not knowing that you have to be certified and you have to have licenses and permits and stuff to do that kind of stuff. They just think they can pop up and sell things, just like in their, in other countries, it's very common for people to do that to make money. So this program will, help with the education piece of it, but just talking more about like the enforcement piece of it that is being worked on with our city manager's office and our city attorney's office on enforcement of those that are selling, blocking sidewalks, selling alcohol, selling drugs, and our bad actor vendors. especially. So, that's also being worked on. I know it was mentioned a little bit in this meeting. And then also, I wanted to bring up I don't know if you guys heard about the outdoor safe sleeping sites. That was passed two councils ago, 2 council meetings ago, and 3 of them are in District 3 in their potential sites. Nothing is set in stone yet.
Hey,
But
Daniela, if I could interrupt you just a moment, because I wanted to bring this up. I wanted to talk about this and share with the rest of the team. Again, I want to give kudos to Roosevelt Park Neighborhood Association, because it was 4 years ago, whenever they were exploring the idea of a sanctioned encampment, getting the people out of the creek and into the park. And as far as I know, our neighborhood was the only one in the city that was at least receptive to the idea. And we were going through that, and of course, we had reservations, but we were not a NIMBY group. We didn't say not in our backyard. So we were actively supportive of that until they just pulled the plug on the whole thing. So coming back around now that we have to get the people out of the creeks, not just here, but throughout Coyote Creek, and get them off the streets. I'm seeing it in so many budget meetings that I've been to throughout the city, different groups, people just jumping out and saying, don't you dare do that in my neighborhood. My neighborhood, you're going to put it here. And so everybody wants the problem solved, but they don't want it in their neighborhood. So Daniela, I kept my mouth shut during all these meetings when people would pop up and say, do you realize that we're doing so and so and so? I know it's a very sensitive subject. And somehow or other, the city of San Jose, all of us, for us to really tackle and solve this problem, we're going to have to get through that. So I'm hoping that whatever site is picked, that it makes sure there's ample services and everything to make it a shining example of how it can be successful, getting people off the streets, out of the creeks, into a sanctioned encampment, whether it's tents or whatever it may be, and offering them the services they need to turn their life around. Because it's critically important that the first few projects like that are successful, because if they fail, it's going to blow the whole thing for the whole city. So I'll shut up now. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, it is a very touchy subject. That's why I wanted to make sure I brought it up today, so that if you guys hear anything else, you're aware. So the potential outdoor sleeping sites, there's one on the south parcel off Lelong Street, north parcel off Willow Street, and then Almaden Road on Canoas Garden Avenue, and then 1157 East Taylor Street, and then the Taylor acquisition parcels, which is just next to that 1157 East Taylor Street, Tully and Monterey property, and then areas of undeveloped areas of Kelly Park. And basically, this is a secured and managed tent area for unhoused adults, and they'll provide food, portable water, toilets, showers, laundries, and then basic trash services, portable toilets, showers, and security. But it's very early days on this, so we ourselves have not heard details on exactly how these sites will look. But as soon as we do, we will obviously let you know. And I know the mayor's team is possibly working on doing kind of like informational town halls on these sites, just because there's so many questions up in the air. There's so many, unknown factors of it. And I was talking to some of the mayor's team, and I was like, hey, you guys need to come up with like an FAQ sheet or something, because we're getting a lot of questions, and a lot of it is very early and we're not sure. And, we just want to make sure everyone is informed. And yeah, did you have a question, Jeff? Oh,
Did I? No.
okay.
No, I just, again, I'm urging all of us here in Roosevelt Park neighborhood to be a positive, constructive voice when these are coming up for discussion, because I see it over and over again. It infuriates me how everybody, if you did a survey of everybody that lives in San Jose, you got to do something about the homeless. It'd be 99%. Get them out of the grid. Okay, we have to put them somewhere. Well, don't put them near me. Put them over there. It's this not in my backyard, or not in syndrome, and it just irritates the hell out of me. So again, Roosevelt Park, we need to use our experience from several years ago, where we were receptive. We didn't just buy into it 100% lock, stock, and barrel. We had our concerns and we would make sure those are addressed, but we were receptive. We said, yes, we'll go ahead. We'll take it step by step with you. So we need to be voices for this because the city has to get the people out of the creeks. Otherwise, we're going to be fined we're going to lose our wastewater permit and suffer fines, unreal amounts. So that has to happen.
Yeah, and I know like other sites that are on that list, a lot of the residents did not want it on. Torres really fought for, hey, we're doing our part. Other districts need to do their part. You have 3 potential sites in District 3 there, and the rest are, other districts. So he really fought for, the site people, some of the council members were going to take down their site off the list, and, advocating for that. But we're like, no, like it needs to stay on that list, um, just so that everyone has, everyone does their part. There's unhoused people everywhere in the city of San Jose, not just in District 3. So, yeah.
Thank you.
And that's it for me. If there's any questions, anything you guys are noticing, please let me know.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So the last topic on our agenda is to talk about a couple things for sort of future things. One is, and if anyone else has things we should think about for future meetings, great. I have someone from the auditors. I have someone from the auditor's office set up to come and talk to us on the 1st of August. So that's one of the next topics. Jeff, you said you went to some meeting and had some ideas for how we might like increase people's attendance here. That would be a great thing to talk about.
It's just questions about. I'm going to give you an example. That safety meeting that the NAC, the North Side, what does it stand for? North Side. I don't know what the NAC stands for. It's the neighborhood. It's a conglomeration of neighborhoods on the north side. There was a meeting with the chief of police. Omar's office set it up with the chief of police, Captain Tibaldi, a bunch of different agencies, parking control, et cetera, and it was literally at the last minute. They publicized, and it was either the next day or 2 days following, and it happened on the night of the debate. So there was a lot of pushback. People were pissed off. Oh, not enough advance notice. Reschedule. Well, it's hard to get the chief police, captain, all these people. So they did it. So I got there early, and I was talking to Omar, and I said, how many people do you expect? And so we were setting up chairs for 10, 15, 20 people, figured that would be it. Daniela, you were there. What was it? 60, 70 people. It was packed, absolutely packed. So
yeah, it was about 70.
Yeah, it was amazing. So something even at a last minute thing on a night where there was a critical thing on TV that everybody wanted to watch, you had this huge turnout. So it got me to thinking. I was talking to people in the area, and one of the things that came up was maybe, and again, these are just thoughts. I'm not suggesting that we do this or don't do it. It's food for thought at this point to try to increase neighborhood involvement. Maybe we have the neighborhood meetings instead of at the community center every single month. Maybe we move it around, even in other neighborhoods. So we kind of get a cross-pollination effect. Because over on the north side, it was at the what was the neighborhoods? I forget the name of it. I've been there a few times. It's on
North Side Community Center.
Yeah, on 6th Street. I thought, why did so many people turn out? Because there's not even great parking there, and there's several big apartment complexes, and a lot of people just walked because it was close enough, and they just decided to come to the meeting, and it was a very vigorous discussion. It wasn't just 70 people sitting back not saying anything. There was a lot of discussion, and it was scheduled to go an hour, and I think it was a total of 2 hours actually, because I had another meeting I was supposed to go to, but I was going to stick with that. So that's an idea. Another idea that I had, maybe I don't know if it's the NAC or there's another one where they normally meet at the Joyce Ellington Library. They have their monthly meeting. and it's not just one neighborhood association, it's about 4 or 5 that come together. Maybe we do something like that. Maybe we have a meeting with where we join with several other neighborhoods or so. I don't know. I want us to do something so we get.
We've done that before with Rooster.
Okay.
We've teamed up with Rooster. Those were always a larger meeting, like, 40 people.
Yeah. I think anything so we can get sort of more of a critical mass, so we get more people, more involvement, more ideas flowing and more people talking throughout the neighborhoods. Uh, I think it would be much more beneficial. So these are some of the thoughts that I was having. I don't have any magic solution when we should do it or how we should do it or what we should do. Just I think we need to do something different or something in addition to what we're doing now.
Well, one thing that we do need to do is we need to become active. We need to start doing more activities where we invite the community to come together. If we're hiding behind Zoom or just in our community center, that's not benefiting us.
But here's the problem. Just look at how many formal board members we have now. There's so few of us that and Dee, you know this because you've organized a lot of these activities. It's a huge burden to organize and run an activity, set it up, plan for it, all of that. So it's a heavy load. And with how many we got? 4 people on the board now. It's
If we did one thing a quarter, or one thing every 6 months, I mean, I get to play the I'm new and dumb here, so kind of like how much effort is it to do something? We did a street, the dumpster day feels like a couple months ago, but it's probably more than that. I don't actually, I don't know how much work was involved in setting up and making that happen. And
well, that one was actually because Dee is the I was going to say the queen of the dumpster, probably the biggest expert in the city at doing that, and she did a remarkable job for years and years and years. This one that just happened, we didn't rent, we just showed up. That was run by that was out of the mayor's office. They set it up, ran it. So in a way, it was actually much easier because the burden isn't on us to do the contracts and get the money and all of that stuff. So but that's right, that's a good one. I think right on the immediate horizon, National Night Out. I think we definitely need to play that up and be involved and have a table like we did last year at the community center, because as I said earlier, to me it was amazing how many people stopped by, how many people we actually talked to, whether it was people in the neighborhood or sheriff's department, police department, politicians, you name it, just hundreds and hundreds of people. So that's a pretty good gig, a lot of bang for the buck, not a lot of effort on our part, because we just basically show up, and if we have some handouts or something, that would be fine. But it's mainly to show our face and talk to people, encourage people. Hey, we're the Roosevelt Park Neighborhood Association, and we meet right here every month, and just have conversation with people. And I was astonished the hundreds of people that stopped by last year. Many of them, right from a neighborhood, and I had no idea there was a neighborhood association or what you do. So that's something I think we definitely should pencil in.
So if we need to have some sort of answer by the 21st, what's keeping us from just saying right now we're doing it?
I say let's vote yes, we're doing it. I second the motion.
Okay, that was easy.
All right, so we're doing that. Do you hear that, Sandra? Hey, Dee, do we still have to? We have to. If we're doing it at the Roosevelt Center, do we have to sign up through the police still? Do we have to register that?
No, we
Okay.
don't, because Sandra already has that in order.
Okay.
And all we got to do is make sure we have a table and the resources that we want to share.
Okay.
And Michelle was really good at that too. Like she bought the little juices for the,
I know,
for
I
the
know.
public. So we, provide something like that. And if our agenda is to promote RPNA, then that can be our, or you want to promote CERT,
Well,
those are
just a combination.
Mhm.
What do we do this for? Roosevelt Park Neighborhood Association. It's community involvement, making our neighborhood more resilient, quality of life issues, all of those things. So CERT, yeah, that's a part of it. That's disaster preparedness and skills, but it's all part and parcel of the same thing. Get a little bit involved in your neighborhood. You make it stronger, safer. You can deal with the quality of life issues, get them addressed. That's our mantra. That's what we do, right?
Exactly.
So that's what I
So
tried to do at the site last year. Have those conversations with people. And I'm going to tell you that Michelle is may she rest in peace. Nobody like her. Yeah, she brought all the juices and all that stuff. But quite frankly, we don't need to do that. I mean, the little kids loved it. They would come by, can I have a juice? Yeah, you can have a juice. It's fine, and that's wonderful. But there's so many activities and so much stuff going on there that's just a minor thing. I think we should be focused on providing information, compelling information to people that stop by to either get involved or know where to reach us or how to reach us to they have questions, issues, whatever it might be. So.
The other thing is that I think in 1 year, maybe 3 years ago, there was like a sign up list. If anybody was interested in attending the meetings, that they could sign up, with an email or phone number.
Which one, for our monthly meetings or the national?
For the monthly meetings. That's how you were networking with the public, inviting them.
Yeah, that's my frustration over the last 6 months or so. Yeah, I used to set up in fact, I did it again this month on Eventbrite. I'd announce that, promote that through Zoom, all of this stuff, and that I would get people signing up. But the last few months, zero, or onesie twosies. So obviously, I'm not hitting the right buttons or hitting the right areas, or people are just part of it. Part of this is it's the post-pandemic condition. It's not just San Jose, it's nationwide, where and the government has recognized this, and there's programs in place to try to draw people back out of their hole, back out of their because people retreated during the pandemic and they become comfortable with it, and so now they're not re-engaging as much, and this is all across the country. So it's endemic to the whole country, not just Roosevelt Park Neighborhood Association. It's everywhere. So somehow or other we need to try to solve that in ways in our little corner of the world, and we got to just do something different. Look at it differently.
So can I'm not quite sure who, either me or Dee or someone else, can we sort of take up a conversation through email or the like, or maybe do it in the Facebook group. Just spend some time over the next week or something planning what we want to do, what flyers we should have, what they should say. I don't think we can do that in 5 minutes here.
Well,
the very first thing that you can do is just know we're going to participate in National Night Out.
Yeah,
so there's boom.
Yeah.
Event number one, already in the books. The next easiest thing would be a dumpster day. Request from Beautify SJ, or in this case, the council member's office. We want to have a dumpster day. We can always collaborate with Wooster. They're always willing to do that. And we recently had 2 of these events this year, of dumpster days, but we can always do another one and, go from there. That's an easy one to pop out. And then you could say, oh, we want to aim, dumpster day in September, right in the Indian summer where people are trying to gear up for the holidays. Or
Hey, Dee,
yes,
I think we're running out of time on this one, and we don't want to hang up here. But that's why I purposely set up a Zoom call tomorrow night for us, the board, to talk just about this stuff, so we can continue that tomorrow night. And there's no hard and fast time on that, obviously. Let me look. Where's my calendar? I'm sure you all got the invite.
D?
I don't
Yes.
have it on.
Sandra?
We are planning a actually a trunk or treat in October too. So I was gonna
Oh.
suggest maybe one of you wanted to do some type of like RPNA, like a scary trunk. Maybe you guys want to support there and maybe have a table too.
Okay.
That would be fun. That's a good one,
Yeah.
David.
Yeah. And then do you guys have a tablecloth that says RPNA on it?
We don't. Jeff, do you still have the green one? If not, I have the other one because I ordered two.
I don't know. Whatever you gave me, I still got it.
You still got it? Yeah, so we have
No,
two
the
of them.
big bin, the big blue bin. Was it,
That
what did
was
it,
what I gave to Michelle. Yeah.
if
So
it's in, if it's in there, I still have it because I haven't
Oh,
opened that not one time. So
yeah, I'm not sure what's in it. But we at least have one green tablecloth that doesn't have our neighborhood association, but we got brand new shirts that we could wear.
Yeah, there we go. We got shirts. Hey, I got a shirt. Don't mess with me.
Okay. So in the interest of just setting up next steps, it sounds like we want to have a conversation about, it sounds like Jeff, you'd set up a Zoom. I missed that for doing some
Tomorrow.
other conversation about this.
Yeah.
We talk about the national night, what we need to do for the national night out during that.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
it's wide open. Let's
And the dumpster day.
plot
Okay.
let's plot our work plan for the balance of the year. Let's
Okay.
do that. Yeah.
Used to have work plan meetings, but that was probably about 7 years ago.
Well,
The
yeah,
last
no,
one.
and that was very good, and you were great at
And-
that.
And is this a board thing or is this open to anyone in the community?
It was open to
It's
the
just
board.
it's just us.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, don't stress out on the work plan. I mean, it usually is very easy flow. You know,
Well, no,
it's just-
yeah, this is not some big, let's map out our year. I mean, we're halfway through the year, so we'll have a discussion tomorrow, and I'm sure we'll have more discussions, and we've already nailed down, several things right here. So we'll continue the discussion tomorrow. I'll make sure I thought I sent it out, but I'll send it out. And again, I just arbitrarily picked a time. I don't know if it was 6 o'clock or whatever would be good for anybody. That would be fine. So if anybody has any conflicts, we'll just do that.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So I think we're at time. I'll just remind everyone, we've got a meeting on August 1st. We have someone from the auditor's office coming to talk to us, and otherwise normal updates. Bring your concerns next month.
Very good. Thank you, David. Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Have a good night.
Good night.